Hi everyone, welcome back to the new video of Unqork. Hope you are doing great and you had a great weekend. Okay, cool. Let's in this video see how we can generate Excel file in Unqork. Okay, so earlier there was no snippet for that, right? We need to build our custom logic to generate the Excel, but we don't need to bother about that. We have that snippet which is generate Excel. So if I just drag and drop this generate Excel, let me quickly save. So this is something would be used to get the Excel out of a data. Okay, so for this use case, let's suppose we have this data, right, where we have this two columns, 1 and 2. Cool, right? So this we want to put it into a Excel, right, on a click of a button. So how to do that? Like we have the snippet. Let me explain you what this snippet does or what this logic does. So basically what we do on a click of this button, export button, it triggers this data workflow create Excel. So what this data workflow create Excel does is it will take that data which is in the data table, and using this HTML table operator which we have inside this table category, so it like converts this table into a HTML table. So if you don't know about HTML table, you can just chat GPT it. So HTML table, right? So I will just put it here. So what is HTML table? Here, right, we have this HTML table as, okay, this is the one. So here we have this body and then header. So this is a table thing, right? So when we see about HTML table, this is called as HTML table, where we have the table node, where we have the header node which is called as t-head. Then this is something called as row, and then the head ends here. Then here is the actual body. So this is called as a HTML table basic template for it. So this operator does that, and this will store this entire converted HTML thing to this variable which is called as Excel HTML, right? As simple as that. Then what it is, and then what is done is this init export Excel is something kept on watch, which is something looking for this Excel HTML variable. So as in the previous data workflow, we have put that Excel HTML. So this is something the value is coming here, and then it will trigger this content export with this logic, right? So content export, trigger and go. So here comes the magic. So what it does with this line of code is it will render this HTML, right, whatever we have converted using that data workflow, and it will render that entire HTML into the span. And here we have this ng binding HTML, right? So this is an Angular concept which you can just chat GPT it or maybe some Google it. So if you know Angular, you must be aware about this, but this is something like create a viewable form of a HTML, right? So let me just see what it does. So this is something not related to Unqork, but yeah, it is good to know, right, what that particular line does. So we can just put it in on ChatGPT and see. So what it says is, again, span is something we already know. It is like a HTML element, and here is ng bind HTML. So this is Angular directive that binds the inner HTML of an HTML element to the specified Angular JS expression, right? So something with binding related concept, it is done with that. So if you want to know about it, you can just go through the Angular documentation to deep dive into it, or maybe you can just chat GPT it in more detail if you want, but that is not something in our scope. So yeah, this script is something would be used. And then one more thing which is very important is in this content, we need to make it include Excel download link, right? So what it does with this toggle on here, like whatever the HTML thing which is getting there, it will be converted into a link and the Excel would be generated, right, with that. So let's try out. So if I click on save, let me preview this. Let me log in. Yeah, so if I click on export, awesome. So this Excel is something generated, right? So if you just view this, let me view. Yeah, so I don't have that actual Excel uh, app in my machine, so that is why it is getting opened into this default Excel, okay, which is present in Mac. So here we have, right, all the data. So this is something we were having here. You can check. So this is the table we had kept initially, a static table, and this is something converted to Excel. That's it. As simple as that. So yeah, on the Unqork, we don't need to bother about everything, right? So if there is something, a big logic, right, or something very fancy we want to do, where we want to create the Excel, blah blah blah, then in that case, first look into the snippets, right? If it is already present. If it is already present, then why to make or why to reinvent the same wheel, right? You can use that logic and try to understand that how it works. Yeah, it is something very important to know what code we are using and make use of it. So yeah, I think hope this helps. I think this would give a hook to explore this snippet concept in Unqork. Maybe you can just go through this in detail. There are a lot of fancy things you can use in your project. So yeah, thank you for watching this video and I will see you next time.